Hello and welcome back to another episode of RamBLINGs with me, Lorna Romanenghi, your host and guide to the world of jewellery. Now this week I am going to be tackling the topic of jewellery and its power of immortality. So some of you might be wondering, what is she on about, talking about jewellery and immortality? That doesn't make any sense. Well, I'll let you into my beliefs on it and then you can draw your own conclusions and see if you agree with me or not. Personally, I believe that jewellery is a sort of tool to a kind of immortality, in the sense that it captures something of its owner. And this is not just if you've had a piece commissioned and it started with you and it's inspired by you, or it's inspired by something that you love and so on. I believe that it has the ability to capture every person that owns it throughout its time. And the main reason is because metal is kind of an immortal substance. It will survive virtually anything. I mean, we still find ancient Egyptian artifacts made in gold and old Roman coins and rings of like Henry VIII, and it's something that can capture an age, it can capture a person. And it's something that we rely on to this day, and our historians rely on to this day, to be able to understand the person that owned them. So for me, jewellery has a great and wonderful power to immortalize you in a certain way. And this is something that I believe passionately and strongly, and it has become the basis of my entire business at the moment. If you're interested, I'm not going to bore you just now with how I deal with capturing that kind of immortality, but if you are interested, then just come and see my website, lornaromanenghi.com, and you can read what that's all about. But for today, I just want to focus on the story behind this and my beliefs behind it. And if you're interested in hearing me talk about my way of doing it and what I do for this, then just let me know down below and I'll do a little video about that and talk you through it, and it might be something that I'll do further on anyway. But as I said, for now I just want to keep it light and just talk about the actual concept behind it. And to really capture this idea, I feel that we should look back in time. I always like looking back in time to see where I want to go. And I feel that looking at your past, you can truly understand and learn from it, and also plan your future better or accordingly. And yeah, that's the rule I go by. So I'm fascinated by history, I'm fascinated by the past. And to me, I want to go back to when jewellery was first used. And jewellery is a wonderful thing in the sense that it's always been around. Since man could basically walk and he started doing his first murals in caves, he has always had some sort of body adornment. And it used to be back in the day that it wouldn't have anything to do with metal, because it was still Stone Age style thing. So it was not to do with the metal, it wasn't goldsmithing as we now know it, it wasn't jewellery making as we now know it, but it was some form of body adornment. So this body adornment that the ancient man used to wear was determined very much by the materials that he had at hand, and a lot of the time it reflected the animals that he had killed, basically. So it was a lot of teeth, it was fur, nails a lot of the time, and it's often said that it's to basically, it was to show their status in society and to show how good of a hunter they were, and just kind of a bit of a bragging aspect to it. And there is definitely an aspect of that. There was definitely an aspect of that. It did give you higher rankings in the society. It did kind of show you the more bits of a carcass, let's say, that you had on your body. It showed how much of a good hunter you were. However, there's an aspect of this creation of this body adornment that is, I feel, often missed, which is the ritual and the respect for the animal that was killed. So in ancient times, in kind of prehistoric times, let's say, man hunted because he had to. It was a kill or be killed situation, and it was, I need this meat to be able to survive and feed my family. I need the coats to be able to keep us warm in the winter and not perish. And there was that sort of aspect of, right, it's a dangerous thing to do, you need to be very skilled, and killing an animal's not easy, especially when it's not like nowadays with guns and God knows what, but it was very much a man to animal equal ratio. Most of the time, not actually, possibly the animal had a bit more going for him. So you did have to be skilled at it. And so yes, when you had loads of teeth on you or whatever, it did denote that you were a good hunter and you were a good provider for the tribe. However, a lot of tribes had a ritual that went along with the hunting and the killing of a creature. And this ritual denoted their respect for the life that they had taken. And they very much operated under the principle of both man and animal have equal rights to live. And if you manage to kill the animal, you need to respect the fact that it also had a family, it also had a life, and you have taken that away in order to prolong yours. And so yeah, there's that aspect, and this is an aspect that was present in basically every tribe back in the day, and a tribe that had it especially strongly, I think, are all the tribes from North America, like the Navajo tribes and so on. And it is still part of the ethos and still part of the culture now in some areas. And for my personal moral values, it's absolutely beautiful, and I believe that it is the right way of thinking and the kind of right way. But that's my prerogative. That's my opinions. But the aspect of body adornment from these elements, it wasn't just to do with bragging. A lot of the time, it was to remember and honor the animal that had laid its life down so that you could live, basically. And I think this is an absolutely beautiful aspect of just taking something that has sacrificed itself for you and wearing it as body adornment to remember it, to have to give this animal basically an immortality, so that it wouldn't be forgotten and its sacrifice would not be forgotten. So I believe that's absolutely beautiful. It's a beautiful sentiment, but it's also something that defines jewellery throughout the ages and up till now. I mean, jewellery evolved from being just bits of tooth and carcass, basically, to then it evolved to metal and the more traditional kind of rings, and then it became for a privilege for the wealthier and higher in society, because obviously they could afford the materials, they could afford the craftsmanship and all this, and it kind of became again a status symbol and a symbol of power, and that's always gone along with the jewellery world. And it passed periods where it had more of a focus on that and then less of a focus, but there was always an underlining aspect of wanting to be remembered or remembering someone or something through an object. So even the idea of commemorating something with a piece of jewellery, even just the concept of the wedding ring, it's to commemorate a person and a moment and immortalize that person and a moment for your lifestyle, for your lifetime. Sorry, I'm getting a bit tongue-tied now. For your lifetime, and maybe the lifetime of people that come after you. And there's, I think, a subconscious aspect of you want to be remembered through an object. You want a moment to be remembered through an object. And this is what jewellery is giving us now from the past. We are able to identify people and their achievements and where they have been by what jewellery they wore. And it's absolutely astounding to me. And this is kind of a fascination that I have. And as I said previously, it is kind of what fuels my practice. But I believe that nowadays, when jewellery has become a bit more affordable, a bit more for everyone, no matter what kind of price range, what value your jewellery is, most people now own one and multiple pieces of jewellery that they love and adore and that commemorate a moment. And that even if it's something that they bought and they didn't really think of much at the time, in years to come, they look back on in some old kind of jewellery box or whatever, and they can remember the moment that they bought it or the moment that they were gifted it, and it suddenly takes you back to that happy moment, or that, maybe not happy moment, maybe just moment, a nice commemorative moment or something. And it's kind of immortalizes it, and it immortalizes you through that memory, in my opinion. So yeah, for me, jewellery is astounding, and I'll let you into a bit of background on me. Don't worry, I'm not going to overshare or anything, but I have a bit of an issue when it comes to mortality. I don't deal with it well. I don't deal well with the concept of death. I feel, not being a religious person, I feel that I'm a spiritual person to an extent, but I'm not a religious person. I wasn't raised in a religious family, and I don't really have the background of dealing with mortality through a religion, which I believe that can be quite a comforting thing, and it can be very, very useful and a useful tool to actually deal with these concepts. But I didn't have that, and it's not something that I really feel a tie to, so it doesn't really work for me. But it also means that I don't really deal with mortality well at all. So for me, jewellery possesses the thing that I wish for, if you will, and I think all of us kind of do, is that aspect of immortality, of knowing that when you're gone, there's something here that still remembers who you are, and that your story can live on through your future generations, through your children, through your children's children, and even if you don't have children, and it can live on through other people, through friends, through relatives, through future generations in general. And this is something that is absolutely unique to jewellery, I feel. And it is something that I really want to focus on and hone on and try and really enhance this in my practice. And again, as I mentioned before, if you're interested in seeing how I do this, then please go to my website, lornaromanenghi.com, and you can read all about it, and I'll maybe do a video explaining it in more depth. But this is the reason behind why I make. So there's an aspect of all my creations, as every jeweler will tell you, they're our babies. We create, we kind of give birth to, in a certain sense, to these creations. And so even if no one knows, there's a part of me in every piece of jewellery that I make, because most of the time blood, sweat and tears have gone into every piece, and so there can't but not be a connection. But also I feel that this is a gift that I can give people, is the gift of commemorating themselves and commemorating the moment and just immortalizing themselves in a certain way. And I feel that this is why I do what I do. This is why I love working to commission. I love working with people. I just had the most wonderful experience of working with a lovely young man who asked me to commission an engagement ring. I'm not going to say who or anything because he's not proposed yet, so we shall see how that goes. But he commissioned me for this beautiful engagement ring. He was so excited, and you could tell so deeply in love with the woman that he's planning on proposing to, and just wanted this to be perfect and wanted this ring to commemorate their love and her character and everything. And honestly, being able to be part of that process and giving them the tools to commemorate that moment, which again you can find out more at my website, but giving them those tools to take their story on, it was the most amazing feeling ever. And this is definitely something I want to do more of. I definitely want to turn a lot more to commissions and working on a one-to-one basis with people, and just really giving them the chance to commemorate and immortalize themselves or a moment or whatever they need to capture. So yeah, that went a little bit all over the place, I think, and a little bit deep, but this is one of my fundamental beliefs. So thank you for listening to me, and it's been wonderful sharing it with you. I hope you found it interesting, and yeah, if you want to know more, then just please comment down below or send me a message through social media or through my website, and I will be happy to either make another video about certain topics that I've maybe just brushed on, or any topics that you might be interested in hearing, or just answering any questions that you might have about this topic and about how I deal with it in my practice. So thanks again for listening. It's really been a pleasure talking to you, and see you again soon. Bye.